This is going to be a long segment. Florida State segment loses to Memphis. Florida State, you got to get rid of Mike Norvell. And this is not a Florida State hate segment at all. The longer you keep Norvell, it's just going to hurt your program in the long run. 2023 was lightning in a bottle. It's time that everyone faces the facts. The seeds have been low-key planted after this Memphis game. And this isn't hate on Florida State at all. Like I said, I like Florida State. It's better when y'all are good. It's better for college football. I love your uniforms. Coolest helmet in college football. Awesome chant. Always gets me hype. So this is separate. Separate Norvell and Florida State here for a second. Norvell is the most overrated coach in college football. He is a transfer portal merchant, and the longer you keep him, like I said, it's going to hurt you. Look, he has been outcoached in every game this season, even with a talent advantage. And yes, DJU sucks. It's not all DJU. The line of scrimmage and all the problems that have persisted through each game continue to be a problem. They're not getting coached better at all. And the O-line sucks. The D-line, which was supposed to be like, oh my God, they're so good, Florida State. They're good at being bad. That's what they're good at. That's what they're best at. One thing that really makes me mad is you look at the quotes from the Boston College game. I'm sick to how this season started. Tonight, I failed preparing the team to go out and respond. Norvell. He also said, you've got a football team that nobody envisioned ever being where we are and having disappointment, having failure. But I do believe in what this team can do. I believe in what this team can accomplish. Nobody envisioned being where we are. I did. The only reason Florida State was so hyped up this year was because everyone thinks they're back. We got to stop saying teams are back after 1 year, okay? It was wishful thinking because it's Florida State. Everyone wants them to be back so bad that they tricked themselves into it. And the media loves giving the hype because they like getting the fans hyped up because it gives them engagement. They'll straight up lie to your face for shit like this. I don't know, with everything Florida State lost last year, you had 10 players go to the draft. 9 of 10 of those players were transfers, okay? And basically only one player since Norvell has been there was one that Norvell actually got. The players that got drafted early in Norvell's career were already basically at Florida State. Keon Coleman, transfer. Jared Verse, transfer. Trey Benson, transfer. Brandon Fisk, transfer. Jarian Jones, transfer. Jordan Travis, transfer. Johnny Wilson, transfer. Jaheim Bell, transfer. Tatum Bethune, transfer. Okay? You got to bring in good talent. The issue at Florida State with Mike Norvell is not a good coach. He's overrated. And there's no foundation. There is no culture because the culture is bringing in transfer portal players to just have a team of like free agents each year. High school recruiting still matters. You need to prioritize developing players to have a strong foundation and future success. The portal is to help your foundation. You don't build a foundation on the portal, okay? And you haven't had a top 10 class yet at Florida State. That's a big problem. Currently, 2024, he had the 11th ranked class, which is great, but 2023 was 16th, 2021 was 21st ranked, which was his first full cycle. 2025 is currently 34th, 2026 is first. However, it's very early in that, and if we keep playing like this, 25 and 26 might not look like they are now, and some of those players that you brought in that were the higher-ranked players that you've actually recruited might be gone, because you've had a few decent decommitments as well while he's been the head coach at Florida State. And thanks for Keldrick Falk, by the way. But you look at him in Memphis, and by the way, Memphis planting the seeds of hot seat talk and letting everyone see this is poetic, because him leaving Memphis wasn't like the greatest thing. And also Memphis kind of made Norvell. Fuente had the 10-win season before and kind of had it built there. And Norvell just wrote it and then wrote it to Florida State. And yes, he had decent recruiting there, but also literally 2 years after he left, then Memphis has their highest rated recruiting class ever. Since he's been at Florida State, he's 2-4 at home versus ranked opponents. Overall, he's 1-5 in bowl games as a head coach. At Memphis, he was 6-6 versus ranked opponents. And he's 4-8 versus ranked opponents at Florida State, with the wins being North Carolina, Louisville, Duke, and LSU. Now we look back at it, that LSU win was historically bad LSU defense that at the time we did not know. So it's not like that's that impressive. Then the Duke game, let's not forget, you beat Duke. Yeah, it was 17-17 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Riley Leonard gets hurt. FSU wins 38-20 because Duke can't move the ball. I know it was an injury and you can't control that. You still won the game, but looking back at it, it's not like you really had to finish that one off very hard. You're 2-1 against Florida. That's great. Well, you're also playing like the worst Florida team ever of all time, basically. It's kind of like the Kentucky thing I talked about earlier. So it's really not that impressive. Florida is about to have their 4th straight losing season for the first time since 1935 and 1938. So yeah, you're 3-1 against Miami. You kind of got the step up on the rebuild, but I promise you if Norvell stays, Cristobal is going to pass Florida State. No problem at all. You're 1-2 versus Clemson, and You should be 0-3, but Dabo didn't get a kicker and, had to use the guy who used to be the backup kicker, then drive and play that week, missing a 29-yard field goal straight on. You would have that 8-game losing streak still. It's just Florida State last year was so overinflated. They deserve to be in the playoff if Travis was healthy. I'm sorry, that's the one thing I disagree with. If you want to hate me, you can hate me. If Travis was healthy, they should have been in, but without him, I'm sorry, it's just different. Bama was the better team without Jordan Travis. But like I said, it was wishful thinking. Everyone wanted them to be back, okay? And with the bowl games, man, he's been favored in some of them, lost them at Memphis games he shouldn't have lost. And your bowl game at Florida State when you beat Oklahoma, it wasn't like you were beating a great Oklahoma. It was Venable's first year. And it was Oklahoma's worst season since 1998. Because most of the team, all the key pieces got taken to USC with Lincoln Riley. You're 19-15 in the ACC. Technically, you have 20 wins because of the ACC title. So excluding the ACC title, you have 19 regular season ACC wins. 8 of those 19 are Syracuse 3 times, Boston College 3 times, and Duke twice. And that Duke game could have been a loss. One of them. So I'm just saying, even Florida State fans have said Mike Norvell is a fired man walking. But the problem is you pay him so much, and his contract expires 2031. You would have to pay him $65 million to not coach, or 85% of his base salary. But I'm just saying, the foundation is not there. He's got to recruit better. Florida State should be a school where you get top 10 recruiting classes. You should demand more. You can't just take these portal pieces. If people tell you high school recruiting doesn't matter, they don't know what they're talking about. It's this new little thought to have that's cool. The transfer portal's where everything's built. Experience doesn't always equal success, which is what a lot of teams are starting to find out. Like, oh, we don't have to take these high school players. This guy played at a Power 4 school. Yeah, well, guess what? He probably wasn't that great at that Power 4 school. Not a lot of these guys are. Some people just end up finding the perfect spot, or you have crazy transfers like Caleb Downs to Ohio State. DJU. This is another thing for Norvell. Why the hell did you take him? Why? That was one of the worst. That's an awful decision. On top of, if you want to get mad at DJU, be pissed at Norvell for taking him. Why? We were literally like, oh, it's going to be Clemson all over again, but it's worse now because the whole team he has is worse. At Oregon State, he didn't get better. He just had a Joe Moore Award semifinalist offensive line and Damian Martinez in the backfield to take all pressure off of him. It was like a Peyton Thorne situation at Michigan State in 2021 when he looked good, but the only reason he looked good is because everyone was like, where's Kenneth Walker? Every single play. And they had a good offensive line, and then obviously Keon Coleman, who y'all know who he is, to bail him out there. But it's ridiculous. The same issues, like I said, that have sustained all year long are still happening for Florida State. Mike Norvell is not coaching this team. He is surprised that his little portal acquisitions didn't work again. He thinks that they're just going to, he seems surprised. That quote I said earlier, he's like, well, we didn't think we'd be like this. It's like, you think the portal's just going to work? You can't live on the portal alone. It's not going to work, and that's the culture he's building at Florida State, is having a bunch of people come together every year where there's already no culture and just expecting them all to work together. And I'm saying this not at a place to shit on Florida State like I've said. This is coming from a place of expecting you to be better. 2 0-3 starts in the last 50 years. 2 of those are from Mike Norvell. Just add to it, from people already starting to call you the worst team of all time and everyone making fun of your program like it's a crazy joke. Florida State, you're 0-3. You clinch under 9.5 wins. The first FBS team to clinch their under on the win projection total this season. Florida State is the first team in the AP poll history to start a season in the top 10 and go 0-3 with all 3 losses to unranked teams. Florida State, you still have to play Notre Dame, Clemson, North Carolina, and Miami. Bowl eligibility. This is getting ugly, man. It is bad. The coaching sucks. And you have a quarterback which should be playing Brock Glenn at this point, who should have already been playing. Playing DJ right now does nothing. Your season is already in a bad spot. You're going to be made fun of all year. You're not going to rip off these win streaks like you did the other 2 years, like 2022, when they lost 4 straight, and then you had the winning. I don't think that's going to happen. The schedule's not going to allow it. Norvell has gotten lucky with the portal that everything just so happened to work out, and now the realization of, shit, that doesn't always happen is starting to happen, and I just think Florida State, you gotta rip the Band-Aid off, because the longer you keep him, the more you're going to set your program back, especially when we're in this era of the SEC and Big Ten teams getting so much money and just keep going, and y'all are still in the ACC. I'm telling you, man, you can call me an idiot, tell me I'm wrong. He's going to hurt your program the longer you keep him, because there's no foundation. No foundation, no future. No foundation, no future. Got to recruit high school. You got to stop getting your top players flipped. You got to start coaching your younger players instead of the kids decommitting because they know there's going to be a portal kid that just comes in and takes their spot. It's ugly, man, in Tallahassee. The fans are booing you. Someone's putting an 0-12 paper bag on.